Welcome back, Valley friends. Today we're continuing the battle against Jafar in the quest Use Your Imagination with Gaston. This forms part of Mysterious Mickey, so if you still need to start this quest, go check out my video on this. When you're ready to get started, you can chat with Gaston. Gaston thinks we're doing a terrible job at running the aisle and gives us a long list of things he thinks need improving, including changing all the biome names and putting up statues of him all over the aisle. Clearly Gaston forgot who the actual ruler is. We tell him we'll work on his long list of demands, but for now we need to focus on the biggest problem, which is the rifts opening up all over the aisle. He agrees that this is important because one of these pesky rifts has opened up at his campsite. We'll need to follow him as he leads us to the site. And then we can chat with him again to explain how he can help us close up the rift. Who needs to use their imagination when they have strength, courage, and cunning? It looks like Gaston has never needed to use his imagination and thinks it's something only odd people use, like Belle and her father. We suggest perhaps we can get someone to help guide him through the process. Oswald would be the perfect candidate for this mission. I'm sure the lucky rabbit can help our unimaginative friend out. We'll need to head over to chat with Oswald. At first Oswald is eager to help us out and thinks he can help anyone be more imaginative until we tell him who we're trying to help. Unfortunately, Oswald had an unpleasant encounter with Gaston. They were having a conversation when all of a sudden Gaston started talking about how he would love to hunt down Oswald and turn him into a yummy rabbit stew. Oswald gives us some advice though. He thinks because Gaston has such a big ego, the only way to get him to be creative is to remind him of some heroic act he had accomplished, and this should get him thinking of something that will help us with our current mission. We'll need to head back over to Gaston to see what he thinks of this idea. We start off by reminding him that hunting our fellow villagers is not allowed and threatening them is not nice. Gaston insists that he should at least be allowed to do some target practice to ensure he stays sharp. We relent that this will be acceptable, but for now we have more pressing matters to focus on. We tell him that Oswald thought it would be a good idea to take a tour of the aisle to remind us of some of Gaston's heroic deeds. Gaston thinks we should start off at the spot where he originally got shipwrecked. This sounds like a great place to start. We'll need to follow Gaston as he leads the way, then we can chat with him again once we arrive. We ask him to remember what the experience had been like and then how he felt at the time. All Gaston can think of was that he was hungry, always thinking of food. Perhaps this wasn't the right spot, but Gaston thinks if he can get a better view of the area and take in the surroundings, he might be able to think clearer. So we'll need to follow him to a better spot and chat with him again. We finally have a breakthrough. Gaston remembers that ship captains from his town would have woodworkers make ships in bottles to illustrate their most heroic voyages, and he thinks we should do the same for his travels to the Isle. This is a great idea and the perfect representation of what Gaston had gone through. We'll need to collect some materials for this. First up, we're going to need 20 pieces of softwood. I headed back to the plaza and Peaceful Meadows for these. Then we will need 8 pieces of glass, which you can craft from sand found on Dazzle Beach by digging or breaking debris. Alternatively, you can purchase some from Christoph when he has stock. Once we have all the materials, we can head back over to Gaston to deliver them. Gaston, as always, expected us to do all the work and make the ship in a bottle ourselves. But we tell him that we only collected the materials for him and that he would need to make the ship himself. Gaston will craft his ship in a bottle and thinks it's perfect, because when does Gaston ever do anything that's not perfect? Now we'll just need to head back over to the Isle and make our way over to the rift in Gaston's campsite. Once there, chat with him again. This will close up the rift and end the quest Use Your Imagination with Gaston. As always, please leave us a like if you found this video useful and don't forget to subscribe if you'd like to see more content like this. I will see you next time as we continue our adventures.